All right, welcome guys to Prepared episode 26, your weekly TBC breakdown. So we're back. We took a week off for Zirene's voice, but he's back. He's back better than ever. That's a lie. He's not better than ever, but he's better than last week. So we're back with the podcast. We got a lot of stuff to talk about this week because of the week we took off. We're gonna cover all the PvP drama, end of season shenanigans, all of that good stuff. The boosting talk, the bracket fixing in Oceania. And maybe a little cameo from the old Chanimal himself if he somehow drags himself out of bed at an early enough hour. But otherwise, I do have some clips from him that we can play instead if he doesn't wake up in time.
Yeah, we can incriminate him and he has no way to defend himself. No,
yeah, and of course, we do have a little bit of PvE stuff as well with the Apes stopped raiding and does the whole world first with progress in Beef Bar as well. So we're going to cover that as well. But yeah, how you doing, Zirene? I see you're back. You're drinking tea. Good for the voice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm making sure I'm at least able to get through this. That's my main goal, is get through this, make sure I'm good the entire time, and then spend the next 3 days raiding again. Yeah. So yeah, I joined Stay Safe's old guild Power, and last week was my first week raiding with them. And I walk into the raid, and the guy who does loot whispered me, and he said, "So Arbor, the GM, is like, Arbor's not here, and I'm a little retarded. Can you raid lead?"
Oh no!
So I am now a raid leader of Power Raid 2 on my warrior as a trial. I'm literally trial rank in Discord, but I have the power to server mute everybody. So
you got baited there, my friend. You got baited into the raid lead.
Yeah, basically. But I'm happy about it. I mean, it's always like a personal challenge in my mind to like take something that is perceived as raid 2, and I would consider my job successful as a raid leader when people in raid 1 want to join that raid. You know,
yeah.
When people in raid 1, because like that's never what happens, right? Is everybody wants to get like promoted from raid 2 to raid 1. Raid 2 is the shitter raid, things like that. So when I join like a raid 2, I always want to like play in a way or conduct myself in a way that makes people want to play with me, and lead in a way that makes people want to follow. So when good players in raid 1 start saying they want to go to raid 2, that's when I consider my job like absolutely like successful. So that's what I'm aiming for, is to
so you're raiding on 3 tunes now, like full time.
I'm raiding on 4.
Oh, God.
Yeah, yesterday I raided SSCTK. We got US number 5 or something like that, which is really funny because we legitimately did 0 skips. I think we did 1, but even then we probably killed more trash than you had to. So I think we killed all of SSC except for 2 trash packs. We killed all of TK except for the other ramp that up to Kael'thas, which is this one you skip naturally. And then we still got like number 20 in the world and number 5 in the US. So it's like we weren't like, everybody's like, oh, when I say like we weren't racing, people are like, oh, that's a lot of cope because you got like, 30 seconds less than this other guild. And I'm like, no, actually, like we weren't racing. We were legitimately just fucking trying to just kill everything and not have a long ass raid day. So we were like going in, knowing we aren't doing any skips, knowing we aren't doing any fancy things, and just being like, hey, we're just going to kill everything in here. We got 13 nether vortexes.
Wait, what? Holy shit, 13. You got 13 nether vortexes? We got like 2.
We got 13 nether vortexes. We killed all that shit. Is insane that how many we got. So it was one of those things where like 2 drop off the first like pack or something, or first 2 packs, and you're just like, okay. This is going to be an interesting day. So yeah, we have 13 nether vortexes right now without any like prior trash farming or anything like that. We got like 10 boot patterns. Yeah, we got a lot of boot patterns. We got a lot of the same boot patterns. It's really interesting. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But
so does that mean you're raiding every day now?
Yesterday was a day that isn't normally the raid day for rain. Which is why it's like another reason we weren't really trying to race or weren't trying to like push people to race in our raid, because we had substitutes, right? People can't get like a Wednesday off. We're a weekend raiding guild. We do Saturday, Sunday. This is like an awkward time for us. So what we yesterday I raided. Today I'm going to be raiding with Power Raid 2. Tomorrow I'm raiding with Lucid, which is my Rogues raid. And then on Saturday I'm raiding on my Shaman, which is in the second raid of raid. So normally I will be raiding Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday if I need a second day for raids. So yeah, that's my raid schedule is Thursday through Monday.
Man, raiding on multiple tunes is tough for the first week because, like we were saying before the podcast started, because especially the week one, because if you PvP as well, you have to grind all your fresh teams up from 0 rating up again. Otherwise, you just get bad points for the first week, and no one wants that. But trying to fit that in with a full raid schedule on multiple tunes, I looked at my schedule and I was like, wait, I'm raiding every day from yesterday until like Monday, and somewhere in between I have to fit in grinding up to 2K on like 2 teams.
Yeah. Some of my characters I will just, phone it in the first few weeks and just get 5s points and stuff. Like my Paladin, like nowhere near where I want her to be. And like I play Prot in PvE, so like in PvP I gotta play like Holy or something. And that's gonna be interesting because like there's 2 pieces from PvP that I really want. Because I'm under the impression that the best 2 items for Prop Paladin for your main hand and your offhand are the Merciless Gladiator weapon and then the Spell Power Shield. Because Spell Power Shield has like 500 more armor than the Aldori Legacy Defender, and it's got 33 spell power. So I think it's just statted really well for you. And then when you look at the Merciless Gladiator main hand, even though it's not the it's not like the sword, the Fathom sword or whatever, it's got hit on it, and hit becomes more and more of a valuable stat for you as you want to get rid of Magtheridon's Eye, because you don't want your Judgment or your Exorcism in like BT and Hyjal to actually resist, because it cucks your threat. So yeah, it's interesting time that I have to go get 1850 on a Prop Paladin. That's going to be
that's definitely 5s. 75.
Yeah, it is definitely 5s. Definitely. Like I'm glad they have the blue PvP set, but good golly, that shit is still like not amazing.
Oh man, does Prop Pally have any? You guys don't have any auto win comps, do you? I guess you just have 5s because
no, you respec. You just respec.
Yeah, because man, I was playing Rogue Mage yesterday, and what a difference it is to play the S tier best comp in the game, basically, versus every other comp I played before. Literally completely different. Where I would mess up the opener and part of me, don't even worry about it. We'll kill him next time.
2 shots, people.
Yeah. We'll just kill him next time. It's fine. We'll just like do a quick reset here, and then we'll do a little shenanigans, and then we'll just kill him in like 10 seconds later. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So much less stressful, man.
They're meta for a reason. Yeah.
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 But I mean, what should we cover first? Should we cover world first stuff, or should we cover PvP stuff first?
Let's go PvP, and then we'll put the speedrun shit at the end, because that's world first stuff.
Okay, yeah. So for the people that want the timestamps, because I know some people want to watch it, some people don't. Timestamps in description as always. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can skip to whatever segment you want. If you want the world first stuff, it'll be at the end. Or if you don't want it, if you're one of the ones that loves putting the comment underneath, why does Zirene talk about speedrun talk so much? You know where to not go. But so God, Blizzard and making changes that are good but bad at the same time. Let's start there. And
am I supposed to name a more iconic duo? Me and being late to the podcast.
you and us having to send a message to someone on Twitter to wake you up from your room.
Because that only happened one time. That happened one time. That
was good content though. Chat liked that. Chat liked the midstream Twitter DM. But so as because it's been a couple of weeks since we talked about it, so obviously people know at this point that Blizzard did end up doing the heavy discounts, 50% discounts, or more, actually a little bit more than 50% in some cases, on all the Season 1 Gladiator gear in the off season.
Yep.
And this is one of those things where really good change, Blizzard, by the way. I don't know anyone that thinks this is a bad change for what they did, except that, man, it would have been nice if people like were told, because there were some angry people who I mean I've always been warning people, like, don't spend your points if you just don't wait till preseason and see what happens. But obviously, there's been some people that spent the points, and then the next week they realize, oh wait, I could have gotten 5 billion pieces instead if I had just saved the points. And it's literally just a communication issue. Like all Blizzard had to do is like give people a heads up so that they know.
Yeah, I went from 0 pieces on my Elemental Shaman to all 5 Gladiator pieces. And I went from 0 pieces on my Rogue to 4 pieces and offhand.
Yeah, so, tell you what, when I was spending my points, because I was only budgeting for the 20% discount. I wasn't budgeting for the 50% on either of my characters. So when I got the 50%, it was like, I understand now what like Jeff Bezos must be like when he's shopping, because when I was in the arena vendor, I was like, oh man, I got my 4-piece. Wait, what am I going to do with all these other points? I'm going to get 2 offhands. I'm going to get a throwing weapon as well. Why not? It was fun times.
I still don't think you understand what it's like to be Jeff Bezos,
yeah, Jeff Bezos would buy the entire store and not have to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, he'd just buy the whole vendor. He'd be like, you know what I want? I want the Gladiator's heavy crossbow just because, I need it for when people are running away from me to do a little bit more range damage. Like,
but yeah, so I mean, great changes. It's just, man,
just tell us. Just tell us.
Like, just tell people, because I know some people that were really angry and upset because they spent the points 1 week before. And
oh yeah, I was mad about 2 things. I was mad that they didn't give us 1 week more because they gave us 10 days, right?
Yeah.
So they only gave us two resets to get points to save up to buy these things. If they gave us 3 resets, it's much more feasible for somebody, just an average player even, to do 5s and get 600 points, because 5s is only like, you only need like 1,000 rating to get 600 points in 5s. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like 1,100 or something like that. I don't remember. But if you do that for just like 3 weeks, you can buy like your main hand, right? Or your 2-handed weapon. Or sorry, it's like 1,100 is like 500. And then you could get like whatever main hand weapon you want, right? You wouldn't be able to get like a 2-hander, but you get like your main hand, right? There's like 1,300 for the Gladiator Pummeler. It's 1,575 for the Gladiator Gavel. So like, I definitely think they should have given like a little bit more heads up, just a little bit more. But yeah, I think communication is just the thing that they suck at. Like I talked about this last time, where I'm like, I genuinely think that the community would be a lot happier. It's one of those things where, as a company, how do you measure how successful somebody is at their job? That's something like, community management, and how much they're worth, right? So for example, I say, hey, Blizzard, pay me X amount of dollars, and I'm your full-time employee, right? And I do like comms for you, for the community, especially regarding Classic WoW. And you're like, when the goggles thing come out, you're like, hey, just want to clarify with the blue post, goggles aren't coming out. This is like a typo, whatever, or like, some mistake, whatever. And then here you give people more of a heads up about what it is. You tell them exactly how much it's going to be discounted, those types of things. If your community is happier, how do you measure how much that's actually worth in dollars, right? Because how many people did that person keep subbed? You can't tell. Right? You can only tell when stuff is in the shitter, right? You can't tell like if they're going to course correct things, because are they going to increase retention, or are they going to bring people back in? They're probably just going to increase retention. They probably aren't going to bring people back into the game. So it's hard to measure increased retention, especially with a whole bunch of other compounding factors where it's like, are people getting bored of the game? Is X or Y happening? So I understand why they don't do this. I just wish they would, right? Yeah. That's my biggest beef, is people ask for this thing and I ask for it, but it's something as a company, it's really hard to justify from a budget perspective, because you have to be able to go, and companies really like it when you show them, hey, this has a direct impact on our bottom line, and this is how much it impacts it, and this is how much it will help it, right? So that is why, like, just frankly telling you guys, that is why things in a store, in-game store, are supported by a lot of companies, including Blizzard. Because, hey, if we spend X amount of dollars on a fucking artist who does this mount, and this mount does really fucking well, you can actually equate that to fucking real dollars, right? It is much harder to do that for something that is community relations, right? It's so much harder to do. especially when your game is suffering at the time from a comms problem. So I don't know how you would tackle this in like a board meeting and be like, hey, we need this, or to justify that type of expenditure, right? So
Yeah,
I wish they had it. I just can't. I just don't know how you would pitch it, right?
Yeah.
And make it something that like a corporate higher up would understand.
Yeah, like you said, it comes down to the problem with if the people in charge at Blizzard are looking at it, and the way the corporate world looks at these things is they think ROI, what's your return on investment? And then they think like, okay, how much do we spend on our ad budget, and how much does that equal in like dollars brought in? And for a lot of people who want to know, like the common thing that a lot of companies track is your lifetime value per customer. So like these types of things, trying to track. Oh, by the way, people, if you want to know why Apple makes so much money, look at the lifetime value from an average Apple person. Like they know if you buy one Apple product, you're in there for like $5,000 or something.
Yeah,
that's why
also
Apple
because
can spend so much money. It's like one Apple customer is worth $1 bazillion to them.
Yeah, it's because of brand loyalty. Like they've done a really good job of brand loyalty, and they've made their products parasitic, where it's like if you get the iPhone 4 or whatever the fuck, I don't even know. iPhone 4, it has a specific charger for it that you can't get like any other charger except for like, you know, some knockoff cheap one. And you can charge whatever you want for that. And then when the new iPhone comes out, that charger is no longer relevant for that phone. And you can't like use that charger for that one. So that's like the thing that's really shitty. But people still buy that stuff, right?
Yeah.
They still buy that stuff, and they still like the brand loyalty and like all that. So they do a good job there, despite it being something that I fucking hate. I hate two things in the business world. I hate that where you're like killing competition or like forcing brand loyalty, and the other one is I hate planned obsolescence. Fucking hate it. And for people who don't know planned obsolescence, it's the reason why your light bulbs have a lifetime on them, because they plan to make you buy more light bulbs. They could make a light bulb that actually lasts a lot longer than the ones that you have, but it's not in their best interest to do so. So planned obsolescence is actually a thing where you plan for those things to actually become obsolete.
Yeah,
I hate that as well.
Did you see Sennheiser went out? They sold their whole, like, I think it was Sennheiser that sold their whole audio division, the headphone division, or whatever it is. And a lot of people were guessing it was like, oh, maybe it's because their headphones are too good. They just never break. So people buy one and they have it forever. Because I know a lot of people with Sennheiser headphones who just, they have the same one they've had for years upon years upon years, and they never replaced it. It's just been good forever. But yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
we're going off topic here. What were we talking about? Oh, that's right. Okay. So Blizzard, like the big problem Blizzard has is that, yeah, they can't measure how the community feels. They can, but it's hard to put that in a dollar value long term. And when they go to like the boardroom or whatever it is, and you gotta go to your boss and say, well, if we hire this one person to communicate better, this would make us make more money, but I can't directly show you really easily how much more money this makes.
Yeah, I think what you'd have to do is like GBB made a good point here, where you'd have to take not your company, but you'd have to take a different company and tie that company's success to how well they communicate with their players, right? Like example, like Riot Games. I know we talk about them a lot, but like their motto, their number one in their like Riot Manifesto is what it was called, is like the player experience first. Like above everything else, it's the player experience. That's what they care about the most, or they should care about, or they strive to care about. And it's a company that you could probably just go, hey, they do really well. They're doing really well. They keep doing well. And even if they have multiple games, those games do well because they communicate with their players. And I think that, God, what was it? It was, I was having a conversation with someone about this at the party where I threw my voice out. And they were saying that like the best thing you could do as a company like Blizzard in that situation is have someone who communicates with the players. And they put it in a really good way. They said, you don't have to fix the problem immediately. You just have to show the community that you're serious, that you take this seriously. Because that's what Blizzard is lacking, is they're lacking communication with us where they go, we hear you, we understand, and we're taking this seriously, right? You need to, one, tell us that you're taking it seriously, and two, then show us over time that you take it seriously, and that will earn player trust back. When player trust is low, that's what you got to do. You got to tell us that you're serious, and you got to show us that you're serious afterwards. So I would really appreciate if somebody came out and said like, hey, they care about classic WoW type thing, right? In like a way that would resonate with players. Not like, hey, we care about the game. It's like, this is not something that is acceptable. We should play. We need to communicate more with you guys, etc. We care about classic WoW. It's a game, et cetera, et cetera. So actually just show us that you take it seriously. And I thought that was actually really important. That's a really good way of putting it. Is that's what's going on right now. Is people feel like it's pushed off to the side. Like it's weird because like people are like, it has a lot of people who play the game, but it just feels like it's pushed off to the side. So how are we supposed to take it seriously if they don't take it seriously, right? If they aren't passionate about their game in the same way that the players are, how are like we supposed to be passionate about it for them? That's the thing that I think is lacking right now.
Yeah, I feel bad because I feel that there's definitely people at Blizzard who are actively trying to make good changes and such. I mean, the Gladiator change with the 50% off in preseason, really good change.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's like there's good changes coming in. It's just there's no communication there. So I don't know if there's probably two different people anyways. There's probably like one person who's trying to make these changes, but then they have another person who's like they don't even have the person who's trying to communicate it to the audience. So these changes are just randomly coming in, and we have no idea what's going on until it actually happens. So it's like they're doing the good work, but they're not getting the credit for the good work because they're not telling the community, and then we just get it sprung on us without any like heads up.
They're like the absent father who just like brings you a present and they didn't even say they were coming over, Like, so it's like he's been getting fucking milk for years now. No, it's weird because like it's how do I want to phrase this? It's I have a contact at Blizzard who works at the company, and they told me that when it comes to like the Gladiator stuff, the reason that it's being discounted earlier and they're giving players a chance to catch up, and then they're introducing all these like rep gears and things like that, is PvP is something that they do take seriously and they want people to participate in. It's half the game systems, right? If you're saying half is PvP, half is PvE. And the thing is that these values that you're getting arena point wise do reflect how things were back in the day. But today is very different because back in the day, you gained arena points like, maybe 1,000 a week if you were a really high rated player, right? And then it would take you 2 weeks to like get your weapon, or like 3 weeks to get your weapon. But that was the same rate at which you gained PvE gear typically, because PvE gear was much harder to get at the time because it took people a long time to clear raids, right? Like SSC TK is not cleared for a really long time, right? It's even just like when a new raid releases, it's not instantly cleared within the first fucking 2 hours like SSC TK were, right? Yeah. So gear is much more abundant now. So it actually feels worse today to have to wait 3 weeks to get a Gladiator piece, but it didn't seem like a problem back then because of the fact that you were sitting there wiping on fucking Hydros, figuring out that people needed resistance gear to even do this boss, and then trying to skip it, right? It's like trying to do something else. So people spent weeks doing that type of thing, right? It's like, oh, this week we're just going to call raid. Next week we'll see if like we have enough resistances or whatever to do this. So like 2 weeks before you even down a boss that might not even drop a piece of loot that's for your character, right? Or might even not drop the piece that you want. So you waited a long time for PvE upgrades back then, and now people get that shit instantly. So PvE feels much more rewarding nowadays than PvP does because the rate at which you gain the gear. And that's why they increase the amount of arena points you get by like a baseline 100. And that's why they also decrease the cost of these things on the vendor and gave you like a week in advance, right? That's why. And I'm like, that explanation in my mind should be out there, because that to me makes me go, okay, I understand why it was a problem in the first place. That it's not like you guys being like dumb or fucking up or anything like that. It's you guys trying to adapt a system that was archaic, right? To a modern like loot funnel, right? And that's what I think is something that is so disconnected, is I want to hear that from them. And that makes me give them more trust. That makes me feel like they understand it. And I actually just want to hear that. Like, that's the thing that's frustrating to me, is I'm like, just tell me why you're doing this now. what you realize the problem was. Like, I don't understand why they don't tell us that. It's not like some fucking secret, right? It's not a secret. And it makes me think you're more competent about your game if you tell me these were the prices back then. This is why it was like that. This is what it's like today, and we're going to adjust it for a modern audience. Like, I'm just like, oh, that's actually fucking cool that you're doing that, and like understanding that, because like some companies would have just been like, you know what, it was like that. We're just going to keep it the way it was, no changes, right? And that's the thing that I think is like people fear that from them, or think that's what they're doing at the start until somebody fights for the other option. But they're already working towards the other option and evaluating if it's a good one from the beginning. So I'm just sitting here like, I like the game. I personally like a lot of people at Blizzard, and I just wish they were more communicative. Like this was a PvP thing, but this is becoming like a just fucking talk to us again. You know, like I think we've said this a few times, but it's like they would gain so many brownie points with the community at large and their players if they literally just talk to us. It's so much harder nowadays to be a fan of WoW than it was back then, because the engagement from the community, the engagement from the company is all player driven, and there's no company like push at all, right? There's no company push. It's, I want to see like, you know, it's stuff like they just need a weekly dev water cooler. Yeah, it's like if you had a weekly dev water cooler, which I think a lot of people don't watch those things or read those things a lot of the time, but it is helpful for the people who want to. But you also need fucking patch notes, right? You need patch notes to tell us what you changed. Did you change a bug, right? Like there's so many things where I'm like, why am I going to this external website? Just make me go to the Blizzard website again. I can't remember the last time I used the WoW forums for anything but either checking if the server was down and other people were experiencing the same issue as me, or literally just seeing a fucking like troll post, right? There's like some random thing that I got linked to, and that's like once every fucking like 7 months. So I've done it like maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the entirety of this. Back in the day, I used to be on the fucking WoW forums for my server every goddamn day. I don't know about you, but like back in original vanilla WoW, I used to just go on the fucking like forums all the time, right? That was the shit. People just make posts about like who's the best at each class on the server, right? And it's like a fucking post. Like I understand Discords can do that now, but it's like there's like that element is gone from Blizzard. I'm not saying bring that back. I'm just saying like that's something that existed back then, kept people engaged with the community and their server and like Blizzard. And now that isn't there. You need something else to engage with people, and you can't just do it through your forum. People don't look at that shit. So you got to find something else now. Like it's where's the Blizzard Discord?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey.
A Blizzard Discord, like the chat saying, would be really cool, actually. If they had a properly run Blizzard Discord. They'd have to moderate it very well, though. I will say, they'd have to moderate it very well. But like an official Discord run by Blizzard that was actually well run would be actually kind of cool.
But I actually think that's a really good conversation. Like those things I always thought were really interesting, where it was like, because I still remember to this day that thread where it was like, who is the best player on Alliance and Horde of each class, right? And it was this thing where it was like everybody had an opinion of like who the best rogue, warrior, paladin, stuff like that was, right? And that was like one of the most interesting threads, because like obviously I played with a lot of those people, and it was like people would like weigh different things, and I love those like opinion things where people start getting engaged, and everybody's got an opinion about that, right? So
yeah, I mean, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the whole PvP placement thing, that drama that went down, and that is literally linked to Blizzard's lack of communication, because it's actually both a good change and a bad change, but it could be an amazing change if they just like tweaked it a little bit, and the community could have literally told them how to change it if they just gave people a heads up. So for people that don't know, what happened during the last week of the season is Blizzard suddenly took away PvP placements. So placements for joining a new team completely disappeared. And that means like anyone could hop. So what happened was a lot of people were hopping from team to team and just boosting up the teams up 100 points basically, because there's no longer the penalty of joining a fresh team and having to do like 10 placement games where if you lose like 20 points. If you win, you win 0, basically. There wasn't that danger anymore. So you could literally be like a 2,800 player, hop onto some 2,500 players team, boost it up 100 points with your friend, and no penalty at all, basically. So that's basically what Chanimal and Snuts and those guys all did at the end of season 1. Is they went from team to team and just they got paid boatloads to do it, but they boosted so many people up who were on the cusp of Gladiator into Gladiator because they had no penalty. So on the surface, though, the PvP placement removal,
there's a penalty for them because them joining the team, they don't get like
that's true
benefit of it, right?
But they get their rank 1 title from their 5s, and so they didn't care anymore.
So the system is supposed to be, if somebody joins your team, they don't get like rewards and stuff like that unless they've played X amount of the games, percentages, etc. So this is like obviously like you join in and then you're supposed to have to like get your MMR up to the team's MMR or something, right?
Yeah. So basically the way it's supposed to work is your personal rating is supposed to have to go up to the team rating. And what would happen, so like if I played 2s with my partner when he's team hopping, I would be like, my team might be at 2.1k, and then he would join and we play against like a 1,200 team, a 1,400 team, a 1,600 team, all the way up until his rating catches up. But with the placement removal, what happened is that if he joined my team, they'd look at his personal rating and be like, oh, his personal rating is 2,200. Okay, we're going to put you at 2,150 for the next game. So there was never any lower games anymore. Everyone would just hop teams and it would just inflate. I see Cargos is in the chat, and he was one of the people that got really screwed by that because Cargos literally missed out on Glad by 1 point. Literally 1 point. He was 1 point below the cutoff, and he was above the cutoff at the end of the season for the last update, but he got pushed out like just on the final update, basically, for the Glad cutoff. And that was literally by the people that were being boosted up by the system. And the problem is the placement removal was really good in that it's really good because now people can play with their friends and all of that. But the problem is they did it, one, at a really bad timing, and they didn't put systems in place to stop this 100 rating boost. So the reason why guys like Chan and Snuts and such can hop teams and boost other people up 100 points is because that's the amount of points you can gap, basically. So if your team rating is 2,500, you can get some other people to join, boost up to 2,600, and you still get your title, your mount, everything. As long as your personal rating is within 100 points of that team rating, you're good. So the problem is they took away placements. They didn't reduce that 100 gap at all. They didn't freeze teams at all. And it caused this issue where suddenly everyone, like, it was boosting Haven, basically. So it's a really good change, just very bad timing. And they didn't put systems in place on top of that. So I do want to stress, though, that it's a good change. The placement removal is a good change. It's just that they really need to put other stuff on top of it to stop people doing this boost stuff. They have to stop that boost stuff at the end. Because I got a clip here, actually. I can play it. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so this is Chanimal talking about, because Chanimal, as the main culprit doing this, he does not like the system either, but he's obviously going to take advantage of the system because he earns him an obscene amount of gold to do this. So he was actually talking on stream the other day about possible solutions to stopping this. So I'll just play the clip here.
What they could do, right, is they could lock teams in the last 2 weeks, but that still has its problems because I don't think that's a good solution. They could limit rewards to be within like 30 personal rating or something, which I think is probably maybe like one of the better solutions, because boosting a team 30 rating up is really not as impactful as a 100 rating boost. Like, the amount of people who actually would benefit from that are way less. As for gold boosting...
Okay,
The problem with gold boosting is you get people who intentionally drop their MMR. Like, let's say I'm a 2,500 player and I'm boosting someone to 2k. What I would do is I would drop my MMR to like 1,800 and carry a 1,500 player and face people at 1,650 MMR. Like, I think manipulating your MMR like that is bad and maybe you should be actioned on. But I think that if you're losing to a rank 1 player playing with a boost who's buying Gladiator, and they're at Gladiator like rating, and you're losing to that boost, you just deserve to lose. That's the truth. You are not good enough to win against the carry.
Yeah, you don't deserve the.
Well, you can't really be upset at the rank 1 player, because however much better the rank 1 player is than like that Gladiator level, the boost is worse. And if you can't take advantage of that, then you probably don't deserve to be at that rating regardless.
So I mean that's a debatable point.
You're right. You're right. You know, if I go play basketball against LeBron and a college guy, I don't deserve to be in the NBA. You know,
so that's
fuck.
Yeah, the end one's very debatable at the end, but
the LeBron James dunking on me, and I'm just like, fuck, I gotta fucking quit.
the big problem.
I don't care if he's got a fucking college kid with him. It's just like, come on, bro. Come on. I'm like a third string fucking guy here.
But yeah, like the problem is so to address the first stuff is basically he's saying that one of the solutions is to limit the point gap which is something we mentioned. So like let's say if your team's 2600, you can only boost it up to 2630 or something before they lose their rewards and titles and everything, which I think is definitely a possible solution, because I talked to a few other people that were on the cusp. I talked to Just Wu as well, who literally was rank 1 on the exact mark of rank 1. Very lucky. He stopped at rank 1. He literally was the bottom team for rank 1. And he also agreed, he thinks they should limit the amount of points. So I think just tightening that bracket in the upper brackets is a lot better. So it would stop a lot of things. The problem is 100 rating is such a big, insane amount when we're talking about 2,500, 2,600 rated teams. It's literally just about your rank. It's no longer about the rating. And every 50 rating at that sort of MMR is hard fought points against like rank 1 level teams, basically. And being able to get Chanimal and Snuts onto your team to just boost you up like that completely skews it. Like Kaga says, it brings in people who just inflate the bracket like an insane amount. For people who don't understand how much rating inflation there were people that were literally rank 1, low rank 1 the week before, who was scared of losing Gladiator in the final week. If you were like low rank 1 in the final week of 2s, there were people that were literally scared of losing Gladiator if they didn't play in the last week. That's how much it inflated in the last week. It was something absurd. It was absurd inflation to the point where no one was safe. Everyone was playing in last week because it went up so many points. So again, the placement removal, not a bad change. Whoever, I don't know if they listened to this podcast or something, because last time we joke about like devs listening to the podcast, but I swear we ranted about it, and then the next week it was gone. The placement system was gone. So I don't know if a dev is listening to this. It is a good change, a great change. Keep the placement removal gone, but there needs to be systems in place at the end of the season where you either lock the teams or you tighten the bracket so that people can't do this 100-point boosting at the end. It has to be stopped. And even the people involved with it don't want it to be there. They're just taking advantage of the system while it's there, basically.
Yeah. I mean, locking teams in the last 2 weeks.
It would have to be something you have to communicate way ahead if you wanted to do that, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, people would still get boosted, but not that many people, right? And that's the thing that I think people have an issue with is if one person can effectively boost dozens of people, right? And inflate the number of people inside the bracket, and push that MMR higher and higher and higher instead of jump team. So like if a rank 1 fucking like if it pushes, they have to push up there, right? It went up 250 points last week. Yeah. Well, also people could see what they needed to get it, which I think that also had an effect on it. Is people could see what the cutoffs were, and that made more people push. So obviously more people are going to push in the last 2 weeks or last week, right? 100%. More people are going to play. They're going to play for longer, right? And they have specific goals to hit or to push for. If you lock teams in the last 2 weeks, I don't know how that affects the average player, right? For example, like if my warrior is like, hey, I want to do a ghetto 5s for points this week, right? And I like am like, hey, I just want to get these 2 weeks of points. You know, teams are locked. I'm locked on this fives. Like, am I allowed to add people who don't have a fives, right, and are just looking for points too? Or if I leave the team, am I fucked? Like, how does that work? So it would be very hard to do for things like that.
Locking,
But
yeah, I think that's basically what Chan was getting at, is that if you do
Yeah.
the locking thing, it
have
could work, but
repercussions.
it'd be messy. You'd have to put in a whole bunch of rules around it, maybe like only limited to certain ratings, and it would get really messy implementing it, basically. So maybe the easiest solution is the point reduction in that bracket. Just make it so that your personal rating has to be a lot closer to the team rating to prevent people from boosting teams like that with that freebie 100 rating boost at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see, by the way, the Reddit thread with with all the names of the people that were allegedly boosted?
Oh, really? There's a fucking.
Oh yeah, there you go. We got a lot of stuff. So I will say full disclosure, I am friends with a lot of people on this list, and I actually disagree with a lot of this list because, as you can see, a lot of this list is kind of a joke in that they basically went into like Chanimal / Snuts' history and just were like, okay, all these people played with them in the last season. They're all boosted, and it's clearly not the case because, like, are you calling Zayu boosted?
This is the shit list. This is the shit list.
Josito Jones, literally multiple, like, I don't know how many rank 1 titles he has but like it's like every season of every
Whoa! S-Fan failed. Pickaboo failed. What is this?
You didn't see the Asfan and Peekaboo shenanigans on the last day, Zirene?
No, I didn't.
Peekaboo and Asfan were mono a mono in fives trying to get the Glad title because
they cucked each other, right?
Yeah. They basically were against each other trying to get like last minute fives Glad because Peekaboo being Peekaboo did not log into Classic until the final like 5 hours or something, and then it was like, okay, we got to get Glad in 5 hours. By the way, he missed out because he stopped queuing. Unfortunately, he was safe on the system, but everyone was telling him you got to keep queuing. The boost is coming in. Everyone's getting boosted up.
Bobka paying Chanimal 10K? Is that real?
But yeah, so like there's all of this stuff in the list. Like, here's the thing. Firstly, I will say is that a lot of these guys.
Hold on. I like how Peekaboo failed. His carry is Zaryu, and then you go up a few spots, and then Zaryu's there, and he has a carry. So he has Abby. I was like,
yeah, it's like. This is why like a lot of the rank 1 people just thought this was a joke, because like here's the thing, guys, at the rank 1 level a lot of these guys just play with each other, and they play with each other in the outs constantly, so not everyone that Chan played with on the last week was a boost. A lot of them were just friends helping each other get the rank 1 title, and a lot of them are literally rank 1 players or Glads themselves on the outs. So here's the thing though, that there are legit boosts on here. So they're definitely Exil was definitely like he was definitely with Sam I Am getting boosted. I don't think he's actually a bad player himself, honestly. But he was definitely boosted up to that. He didn't actually end up getting rank 1. So this list is actually wrong. But there were definitely people who were definitely boosted at mouth. Definitely a boost. But the thing about this list is that a lot of these guys legitimately were already like rank 1 players though. Like for example, like I know Bobka's in the chat and Bobka's on this list, but literally Bobka and Reality and Josito had a 3s team at like rank top 10 in NA, and they literally had 75% win rate. So if you actually think that they're not capable to get rank 1 themselves, I don't know, the amount of people, yeah, this list is just completely ridiculous. But it does raise the problem with that there's a lot of people lower down on this list who were legitimately boosts. There were a lot of legit boosting going on, and this is the reason they need to stop it. This is the reason why all the fixes that we were talking about need to be put in, and they need to they need to be put in for that.
What is like why is there stuff on the right too? Like, why is Sony on the right?
I don't know. This was just a screenshot that was leaked. But yeah,
I'm like,
but I also do know a little bit of the backstory for people that do want to know the full story, because I know, like I was watching like I was watching Bobka stream, and he was getting like a lot of people on this list that weren't actually boosted were getting blasted on their own streams because people saw this on Reddit and so like so what was going on. So like to explain the whole Bobka and Reality's team getting boosted. Literally what happened was Reality burnt out super hard on the last week. And I know because I'm Reality's partner in twos on one of his characters.
Mhm.
He was playing like 16 hours a day. And I don't know, he hit some sort of limit in WoW where he was like, I can't play WoW anymore. I played too much WoW. So he literally just didn't log on until I think the last day. I didn't even get to play twos with him. So that's why I didn't even get to boost up my twos. So that's why they had to get Chan in. Like, and I don't know whether they paid Chan or what happened or whatever else, but the fact is those guys were already rank 1 players. They literally just needed Chan to come in because Reality wasn't playing. He was completely burnt out. He didn't play the last week. And I played 10 games with his alt. Oh, not his alt. I played 10 games with Reality and then he didn't log in again. I managed to finagle him to log in just to get it up. So so here's the thing. I see chat is having a discussion about all of this, and it's like a lot of people on this list, they could get rank 1 even without it, without like all this shenanigans. They were like already rank 1. It's like not even a question. The bigger talk should be on other people that were boosted up that weren't legitimately able to get rank 1 or glad themselves. And that's the problem we need to fix with just limiting the amount that people can boost, really. They got to put placements in, they got to put systems in place like limiting the amount of rating you can boost up. Like if like let's say you limit it to 20-25 rating split within personal rating and your team rating, it's it would stop a lot of this because 20-25 rating is not a big gap. It's not a big gap at all when you're talking about that sort of rating. It would stop inflation, it would stop a lot of things. But yeah, so that was one of the dramas for people that saw this. This was one of the dramas, but Jesus, there was a lot of drama, guys. There was a lot of drama going on. This is just one of the things that was going on. Is that the other one? Did you see I think I linked this to you, Zirene, the Oceania drama.
Yeah, this is something where I was just like, okay, this was really long. I think I read a lot of it, but at the same time, it just felt like it was a big witch hunt.
Yeah. So what this is for people that haven't seen this one. So this was basically, from what I could gather from doing a little bit of research, this was someone who was at war with one of the other people. So they literally tried to chase down and witch hunt a lot of the rank 1s. Now, it's not saying that a lot of this stuff didn't happen. There was definitely a lot of stuff that was very sketchy here. Very, very sketchy here. For example, the whole talk about in this document where they were talking about EJ and another player on Oceania piloting people, and literally Oceania basically got very cocky because no one was penalizing them for anything. So what happened, for people that don't know, is that Oceania's brackets got separated from NA. And what happened was they were like, oh shit, we got 1 week to get glad. Okay, let's all set the points at this rating. We'll all aim for this rating, and then we'll all just like tie around roughly that, and then we'll just start taking payments to boost people up and pilot. So there were a lot of teams, and there's a lot. I won't go through the whole thing because it's super long, but there's a lot of evidence that there was a lot of piloting going on from this rogue called EJ in particular, who was doing this sketchy a lot of piloting. And by the way, there's a reason why top players don't do piloting anymore, by the way, in retail and such, because at one point in time Blizzard decided that, okay, we're not going to allow piloting anymore. So what happened was they literally started just banning everyone that piloting. So I literally expect a lot of these guys to get banned on Oceania, because piloting is one of the easy ones to catch, because it's usually very obvious if someone was piloted and they can look into it. But I fully expect a lot of the Oceania guys to get hit with big bans for piloting. But beyond that, a lot of this was very, very he said, she said stuff on some of this. Some of this was just accusations without any actual basis beyond just like a screenshot of, oh, this guy got better, or this guy played a bunch and then suddenly went up in the last week. So there's a lot of stuff where you can't really prove stuff. But I do have this one clip though. And I don't know what these Oceania guys were thinking, but it feels like they just got cocky because they weren't getting penalized before. But yeah, he said this on stream, so this is this is kind of suspect. So this is space rat for people.
Yeah, that's fine. We can talk about that. Yeah, I reached out to CMD and I said, look, if we get close, would you end up tying or throw us a win if we need it in threes? But that was never that. We never ended up getting there. I don't give a fuck. I'll own it 100%.
So this was basically one of the teams admitting to talking to another team to asking them to like throw games potentially and such. So there was definitely a lot of shenanigans going on in that last week, especially in the Oceania. So it's a complete cluster. It's a complete cluster in Oceania. They're definitely going to have a lot of penalty. I think if Blizzard looks into it, they're going to ban a lot of these guys. But that's not to say that every team in Oceania was part of this, because like here's the thing, Oceania also got really badly screwed in that in the last week suddenly they were able to get Glad, because again, Blizzard communication, they didn't know. There were literally people in Oceania who the week before transferred over out of Oceania because they thought, okay, I can't get Glad, I gotta transfer to like the NA server, I gotta grind Glad there. And then suddenly they found out in the last week that, or last minute, that, oh wait, we can get Glad? And now they're already stuck because they can't transfer back. They're already on the NA server. So I literally know a team on the NA server that they were one of the top teams in Oceania. They transferred over and they got screwed because there was no communication until like last minute for Glad titles. So yeah, it's just rough for them. It's just rough for them, the entire situation. But yeah, so that's the Oceania drama for people that didn't see it. Basically what happened is, it looks like the entire Oceania led as a mess. So like basically this entire document, a lot of it was just talking about how because the bracket is so small, there's so few people playing in Oceania that it exacerbated the situation we see in NA to the point where you could decide the ranks between the top Oceania teams. They had full control over the entire ladder because there was only X amount of people playing, only X amount of good teams. So they could literally talk to themselves and be like, yeah, let's just set the cap at this, we'll do this, and we'll be the only people queuing basically. So they could literally say, okay, this team is queuing, let's not queue now. They can't get points because there's no one else who's gonna queue. So they could literally control brackets by just saying like, yeah, we're not gonna let this team get points if they wanted to. There's a lot of shenanigans like that was going on. And again, this goes back to the problem where Oceania is just too small is a problem. If they had more people, they couldn't fix the brackets like this. But because they're so small, they were able to fix the brackets and decide things like that. And
well, it also becomes the problem of like it's the whole like God, what is the name of the fucking it was the psychology experiment where they basically like asked you, if you would take all the money, or it's basically like steal or split with somebody, right?
Yeah.
If you pick steal and they pick split, you get everything. If you both pick split, then you both get half. If you both pick steal, then neither of you get anything. So it's like, which one do you pick? And it's blind, right? So here it's kind of like, if you feel like somebody else is going to fuck you over on the bracket, if you don't do it, then you're more inclined to do it yourself. Because you feel like if I don't make this move to fuck people over, I'm going to get fucked over, right? And so a lot of people actually choose that option and choose to steal when it's a complete stranger, right? It's not like a friend or anything like that, or somebody that you're like, oh, I know they'll split, or they wouldn't want to fuck me over, right? So yeah, it's the prisoner's dilemma. Yeah, I was like, it's not the Stanford prison experiment, it's the prisoner's dilemma. Yeah, okay. So yeah, it's interesting because I feel like that's kind of what happened with it. Was people like, it's really small, you kind of know who you're up against, and if you have the conversation with like that Aussie guy did, with that Rat did, sorry, that Aussie guy, which one? But like Rat did, you're kind of exposing yourself in a way, right? Where he's just like, he's actually just verbalizing the prisoner's dilemma and being like, hey, if we get to this point, would you be willing to both pick split, right? And he's just like talking about it, which is taboo, right? You don't like talk about it to the people directly. And he's like, yeah, he didn't see anything wrong with it. He's like, yeah, we can talk about it. He's like, yeah, we're in this fucked up situation. People are doing this fucked up thing. So I'm going to do this thing to try and survive. Right. Because he's like, if I don't communicate and like he picks steel or I pick steel, like we're both fucked. Right. So yeah, I think that's kind of what happened. And I don't blame anybody for the, reaction that they have or the thing that they pick, because I do feel like it is an unfortunate situation. Morally, you would be like, make the ladder just be the way that it is and make it, or not the way it is, the way it's supposed to be, or like morally that it's like everybody is playing fairly. But that's not the reality of the situation in any system that can be exploited, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the problem is that the boosting is very hard to stop in essence, because especially like gold boosts and such, it's kind of like a tricky one to stop. Like to go back to what we were talking earlier, where like I think this way you disagree with Chan is that like yeah, obviously if you're like a 2.2k player and you're going against Chan and his carry, like he's the LeBron James. If anyone has ever watched Chan, he's insane on Warlock. Literally, if you talk to any rank 1 player, even the other rank 1 players look at Chan and think, Jesus Christ, this guy's like head and shoulders above every other Warlock on NA right now.
I legit had to play against I play Ellie Shaman in 5s. I had to play against Chan and then Azale like right after, and I was like this curse of tongues is staying on me the whole game.
Yeah.
I was like,
they don't waste globals, those guys. When they're at the top end, they're just so insanely good when you're up against a Warlock that puts out that much pressure. And it's like the problem. I can see why they think that it doesn't impact the other players as much, because from the point of view of people who are very competitive, they're like that sort of player. They always look at it, if they're losing, they always look at it, okay, well, I'm just gonna be better. I'm gonna beat this guy, and then like if I was better, I wouldn't lose to this guy, right? Because they're looking at it from their point of view, where like, yeah, if you lose, you just play better and then you win. You just become the better player, and that's the mindset they have, and that's why they're top players. But in actual, how it actually works out usually is that, yeah, sometimes you get stomped by LeBron James if you go against LeBron James, and he's carrying like some college player. Like LeBron James is going to stomp you. But I do think the shortening of the rating limits would fix a lot of it. It just limited to like, I don't know, 25 points or something, so that you couldn't boost that much. I think that will work a lot. And then the gold boosting is a whole separate thing in that. Like, I don't think you could ever stop that unless you just outlaw it completely. But they can't, because they've already in retail, they've already legitimized it with tokens and everything like that. So it's like I don't think there's a real solution there. But at least they can get rid of the end of season shenanigans with the 100 rating boosts and things like that. And then I think most people will be pretty happy if they do that. That's like the best they can do.
Yeah, this problem came up. They might as well just find a solution to it. Like that, right? Like the very specific problem of going up 100 rating. They can fix that, and then I'm sure boosters will find out a way to like go up a tiny bit of rating. Oh, maybe, but like I'm within 30 of it. It's like, oh, let's boost to 30, like that type of thing. So yeah, I think that I do feel like if you solve this problem, it's not gonna create a new one. I think people are just going to find a way to adapt to the new solution, but it will be harder to do, right? Yeah. Which that's what you want to do at the very least, is just make it harder. If you can't get rid of it completely, just make it a lot harder to do, which Blizzard is very good at. We've seen it with drums, like you can't solve it completely, just make it much harder to use, Yeah.
The drumsticks, yes.
8 yards, by the way. Fucking kill me. Oh man. But yeah, there was a lot of PvP drama, but a lot of people had a lot of fun in the last week.
All that said, last week of the season, some of the most fun playing, some of the most fun streams I've watching Peekaboo and Asfen go against each other in 5s. Great content. Content. It was amazing content. It was really good to watch. The thing is, like, if they could somehow make that happen more, PvP would be massive. If PvP was that fun all the time, I think a lot more people would PvP. It was that much fun. But the problem is like that's all linked to the end of season. I don't know how you do it. It's just end the season more often, but then it gets scuffed. I don't know. But the end of season shenanigans is always really, really fun. It is always really, really fun. But yeah, so heads up, people. Like, don't do piloting. If you're piloting on Oceania or you're piloting on NA, don't do piloting. That gets caught by Blizzard. There's a reason rank 1 players don't pilot for people anymore. Way back in the day, it used to be really common, actually. If you talk to anyone that played, like, TBC, RAF, and such, back in the day, it used to be really common that people offer, like, a pilot for $1,000 or something to Glad or whatever you wanted. But at some point, they just stopped it because Blizzard cracked down on it, and people just got hard banned for it. So, yeah. don't do piloting, guys.
Yeah, and Slasky just in chat mentioned... give dual spec. I don't want to spend 100 to 200 gold a week just for having fun in PvP a few games whenever I would like to. And I'm becoming more and more a fan of dual spec the more I'm specking back and forth. Because even though I'm playing, like, for example, Ellie Shaman, right? It's like you literally change like 5 talent points around and that's it. You get NS instead of like Totem of Wrath, and then you get the thing that like makes you less critable. And then you get the thing that like stops spell pushback, but it's very like the spell pushback one is like very, very fucking important. So it's interesting because I feel like now that they keep making PvP more and more accessible with resilience gear, I do think they should probably make it a little bit more accessible with dual spec, even just like a convenience standpoint. So that's like the thing that I'm like, it feels like it's heading that way where I would not be surprised if it got to a point where dual spec felt like it was something they were like going to put in the game. And in fact, like, that they put it in like in the middle to like end of TBC, you know, I would say I would probably be like around the time that they put it in.
Yeah, it's definitely adding up. I mean, this week I'm definitely noticing the spending since I'm going back and forth PvPing and PvEing all the time. And yeah, like Fearblade's saying in the chat, for people that don't know Fearblade, the rank 1 hunter, and he plays rogue as well. And yeah, people used to do Glad pilots all the time. And people who don't know what piloting is basically, yeah, someone logs onto your account and plays for you because you're so bad that you can't get boosted even. So they have to log onto your account and play for you up to the rating you want. So yeah, and at some point, all of these guys just stopped doing it because Blizzard cracked down and said no more. And then everyone stopped. So that's why they don't do it anymore. Unless you're on Oceania, apparently, and those guys are definitely going to get hit. And the thing is, I don't know if they would have been penalized before, but because now it's been on Reddit, is they've gotten so much spotlight shined on them that I think those guys are definitely going to get penalized now because it's out in the open like that. Especially since it was so blatant about it as well. If I'll link in the show notes that thread if people want, but just heads up, it's very witch hunty. I will say it's I don't think everyone accused in that thread was actually like colluding on Oceania or doing stuff, but there was definitely a lot of shady stuff going on Oceania. But yeah, so that's the PvP drama talk, guys. That's PvP drama talk. Zirene, did you see Apes stop raiding?
I did.
So yeah.
I was, I do like Maitoz a lot. I think Maitoz is actually really funny. I enjoy watching his streams. But you know, if you don't like the game anymore, like you just stop playing. You know.
Yeah.
So I didn't find it too surprising. But
yeah, I'll play the clip for people who want to see. So yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I've quit. Right. This will be my last WoW stream, I guess, and I'll be ending the stream soon. So I just wanted to say, obviously, I've quit. Apes won't function as a guild anymore. That is the end. Reasons. I've been thinking about quitting for a long time now. Game just hasn't really been what I and most of my guild have been looking for. I guess you keep playing out of a sense of loyalty, a sense of, I don't know, friendship. But that only stretches so far. Like, I've been playing this game for 15 years now. So my entire adult life. And, enough's enough, right? It's not like Tier 5 is some kind of a magical land with rainbows and, anything, whatever, cool stuff, man. It's not like Tier 5 will magically make the game, wow, reinvigorate. Like, wow, man, Kel'Thas and Lady Vash. Whoa, this game is suddenly really good again. No. It's, at a certain point, you're just saturated. Enough is enough. So after 15 years and 6.5 years of playing private servers, it's just enough, man. It's just enough.
Yeah. So, yeah, Maitoz quit. For people who don't know, Apes, they were world first for Ragnaros and just barely behind on Blackwing Lair. Interestingly enough, they were never really known for, or at least they don't push themselves as a speedrunning guild, really. They were kind of like a PvP guild that also sometimes speedran or did world first stuff. But they were very, very well known, probably the most well known of the private server guilds outside of like Progress and Salad Bakers and such. And so they're quitting. The thing is, I think Asmongold actually put it very well when I was watching his take on it and what he was saying. And as he does, he always tends to put things very well in an interesting perspective. Is that he was kind of saying how he believes like a lot of it is just because they just, they're in different places in their lives as well. They've been playing this one game for 15 years for so long, and then you combine it with the fact that what they're doing isn't really looked on as super popular as much anymore. Like the racing and speedrun scene is kind of smaller now as well. And it kind of had that peak in Classic where it was like super, super big for a while. And then it's kind of slowly kind of dropped off and people have kind of gotten a little bit sick of a while. A lot of people have quit. And we had the whole Final Fantasy stuff coming. And a lot of them maybe were just playing because it was what they were doing. And they lost the joy for doing that thing a while ago, and then it's only now catching up. They're realizing, wait, why am I still doing this thing? I could do something else. Especially for streamers like or the big characters in the guilds like Maitoz and such who have a streaming thing on the side that's also giving them some side income. Is that sometimes I think sometimes you get baited into going longer in like a game or something that you don't enjoy, because it's bringing you that income. You're getting like viewers for it and such. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he felt like this for a long time and he just kept going because, wait, I'm getting viewers. I got to keep going. People are watching me for this. And he just realized like he was trading his happiness, I guess you could say. And it's something a lot of streamers actually do. This is kind of like a tangential topic, but it's something like a lot of streamers do a lot of times, is that they'll trade a little bit of happiness for like stream success or stream numbers and such, because they kind of get into this rut of just streaming even if they don't enjoy it, because it's what they have to do, or what they think they have to do. But yeah, what's your take, Zirene?
I agree. It's also something that like when people were playing League of Legends for years and years and then they fell out of love with the game, they're really scared to like change their YouTube channel or their content, because they built their brand around their gameplay or them playing League and not them as a personality, which is why I think being a streamer is like very personality based instead of what game you play, if you want to be successful, because games don't last forever. So you want to transcend the games and be somebody that like gets followed regardless. People want to watch you do that. And my fucking roommate, Captain Flowers, he gets like fucking what is he doing right now? He's fucking I think he's streaming. I can hear him fucking yelling. Hold on. One moment. He is streaming League of Legends and he's shoutcasting it, which is his primary thing, to 2.8 thousand people, right? So 2.8K people. He's casting the pros, right? So he's like using his profession, he's playing the game or like watching the game, and he's with like casting relevant people. And I don't know if he's got like a guest on there too. He's got I Will Dominate with him. So he's got another personality in there too. So he just hit like 3K viewers. So he's at 3K right now. When he sits there and watches Hell's Kitchen, he gets 2K viewers, which is not a fucking drop off that I consider substantial. He watches Hell's Kitchen every week, and his chat fucking loves it. And he'll do like the intros himself instead of like listening to like stuff. He'll do the recaps himself. Like he's got the fucking personality to sell that shit. He's fantastic at what he does. And so I think like you have to have the personality to transcend that. Now, when it comes to falling out of love with games, there's a reason that he doesn't like play League of Legends, right? Like he loves casting it, he loves doing things around it and adjacent to it and the community, but he hates fucking playing the game, makes him mad. So finding a way in which you can enjoy the game that you like, finding a way in which you can I guess enjoy the game that you love. I was gonna say enjoy the game you enjoy. Enjoy the game you love, without like anything else around it. If that is something that's pure and you can do, fantastic. Otherwise, I would say you definitely want to get away from it. You want to find what's next for you. It's just like any career, right? If you aren't having fun, if it's like weighing on you, if it's harming your personal life, anything like that, you just want to find the next thing. So yeah, I think video games are a lot like almost anything else in your life that when it comes to loving, right? If you're with a girl for a very long time or a guy, and it's just not the same. And, you know, you might have like a little sunk cost fallacy. You put a lot of time in, just like, hey, I put a lot of time into WoW. I don't want to leave. If it's not good for you, it's not healthy for you, or it's just not fun for you, or you're not having a good time, and you've maybe ridden some of the bad times out, or it doesn't look like it's going to get any better, or it keeps happening, then you just want to get out. You should leave, right? So I feel like it's the same thing with almost anything else that you love, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously not. It's unfortunate it's happening in WoW, but we've already seen it happen with like a lot of content creators in WoW and such. I think the fact that WoW has been dropping off a lot has kind of woken up a lot of content creators, a lot of streamers and such in the WoW space to realize like there's a world outside of WoW, and maybe like they can make the jump, or it's kind of just showing them that there's other options. There's a good video out recently by Devin Nash actually talking about like the downsides of being a streamer, like why streaming is actually like not an optimal job for a lot of places. He talks about all the stresses and different things about being a streamer, and like a big part of it, like you mentioned, is you have to be really careful about losing the love for the game. And it's why, like, personally, when I stream, I treat streaming these days as something I do on top of my YouTube and other stuff. I never treat it as my main thing, because the moment streaming becomes my main thing, it puts it in danger of where I'm like, oh, dude, am I gonna get into that stage of WoW where I'm just logging on just because I have to stream WoW? Versus where I am now, where I really log in because I enjoy. I like PvPing, I like raiding, I like doing those things. So I'm very careful personally when I stream, is that I only stream really interesting things, and then I a lot of the times I just don't stream if I'm not doing anything interesting, and I just chill and play the game and enjoy it. Because I think as soon as like you make streaming, in particular WoW, if you make streaming WoW your main like income or your main focus, and you get caught into looking at your stats and all of that, then it becomes super stressful. Stressful, and then that's how you can lose the love for the game, because now you associate. It's a lot like how if anyone hears the iPhone ringing sound on the alarm sound, it triggers PTSD. That's what happens to a lot of streamers who stream like one game, is that they start associating that stress of streaming with their game, and then they don't want to stream the game anymore, because now they get stressed when they play the game and they just want to do something else. So I think it's something that a lot of streamers are finding out. And honestly, I think especially in the speedrun scene and like what Apes is doing, where they were jumping from private server to private server, just repeating the same thing over and over. I think they've done it for so long that maybe, it was time for a change. They've just been doing it for so long.
Finally burnt.
Yeah, they finally burnt out.
I think I said this maybe at one point, either on my stream or the podcast, where this is like one of the first times since it was kind of like the reason I quit Wrath was around Trial of the Crusader. I felt was like the first time that Blizzard had given me a chance to fall out of love with the game, right? Like I was talking about how every single instance up to that point was like really interesting to me. Like the fact that it went from, Molten Core to Blackwing Lair to AQ to Nax to then you had everything in, this phase was actually out originally on TBC release. So like you had Karazhan, you had Gruul, Magtheridon, SSC TK, into Hyjal, into Black Temple, right? Into Sunwell. Then you had Nax into Ulduar. And then when Trial of the Crusader came about, that was like the first time I felt like I had a chance to fall out of love with the game. And I feel like that's what happened to a lot of people in this phase is everybody played Classic. And this is the first time that like there wasn't enough really for them to do in the game as PvEers or preparing and stuff like that every week. Or like, like now I need to go get super sappers and shit and regular sappers. And I have like goals to when I get on that like keep me to like It's the carrot on the stick, right? But I feel like phase 1 of TBC is the first time that it really gives people who have played Classic like a chance to fall out of love with the game and log on and be like, what am I doing? You know, why am I even on? So yeah, there's no like push for it unless you're like a PvPer, and even then, there are times that they have those feelings. So
yeah, exactly. It's why I know I mentioned this a lot. It's why I really like the way certain streamers do it. Like when I watch Chanimal stream, he only does what he enjoys, which is just PvP. Like I feel like he's one of the guys who could probably stream forever because like all he's doing is just really enjoying PvP, and he does whatever he wants. I feel like that's honestly longevity wise. I know this is getting to a side topic about longevity wise. If you want to do a streamer, you really got to find a way to do the things you enjoy without making it the job side of things, because otherwise you do burn out really easily like that. But I am worried, by the way, Zirene. I'm really worried about Wrath of the Lich King, looking at it as well, because I was looking at the raid con and I was like, man, I don't want to do Nax again. I don't want to do Nax again. I really like the PvP aspects of things because I play Rogue and we're good, but I don't want to do Nax again. I really don't want to. I feel they need to think of a solution, because I think there's a lot of people coming from Classic who don't want to do Nax again as the main raid. They definitely do not want to do Nax again. So I think if they do Classic Wrath, they need to do something about the fact that no one wants to do Nax.
Yep, I agree.
But yeah. So that's Apes. They're kind of done for now. I think who I have another clip, but we don't really have to play it. But yeah, Prefox was also saying that he's just gonna hang around and he's gonna leave some tunes there, but they're gonna do other stuff as well. And
Prefox plays like 4 characters.
Yeah, he plays
so,
like he'll be okay. One of his.
Yeah. I mean, he's streaming right now with like 3.6K viewers. I think one of the highest he's been in a very long time. So like, I don't know if he got hosted or like people are just really excited about the fucking
new phase and
yeah, the new phase and all that. So they're actually like interesting.
Yeah,
I think Prefox is a good dude. So I hope he does well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we've been saying the whole time, it's the personality of the streamers, especially in WoW, that carries them. Especially like, I mean, again, that's the reason why Peo is the most popular Classic streamer. He makes everything entertaining, whether it's him like dancing in a raid for no reason, and wiping the raid, or Zirene's raid in particular, because he's dancing in the background. Great content though, excellent content.
Yep, clippable.
Yeah,
clippable shit. So what's the next topic for us?
Okay, we got a world first. We got a world first stuff. We can talk about that. Okay. I don't know if you wanted to break it down or not, but I feel like the main interesting thing is just that wait, let me share screen here.
Yeah.
So like basically for people that don't know, the difference was 1 minute or something like that. Yeah, like literally 1 minute.
Right? Oh yeah.
Between Progress and Beef Bar. And the most interesting thing is that Beef Bar came kind of nowhere. No one is expecting Beef Bar to be the main competition. And they kind of, it was literally just a two-man race because no one was close. People,
yeah.
Here's the thing: people always Salad Bakers is one of the most popular guilds as far as like stream numbers and such, but they've never really, when it came to world first stuff, they've been very good at speedrunning, but they were never really a contention guild for when it came to world first things most of the time. They were, I don't think they've gotten one world first.
Yeah, it's kind of the same with Rain. Like I think we're number 20 on this list, but like it's like the way I break this list down is it's like the top 2, they're the gods, they're the fucking their time is so much better than everybody else's. It's fucking ridiculous. Like they're the gods. Everything else below that is the mortals, and then you get to like us at number 20, and that's where the dads are. So there's the gods, the mortals, and the dads.
How much time was there between?
Like we're only a few seconds between like a lot of those guys around us. Like that's literally like if we don't wipe one time on Vaj, like we're fucking like what, like 14th or 15th or something, right?
Yeah.
Those times are really strange because they don't all line up. So anyway, but I'm just like it's really interesting because like we didn't skip anything, and I know like almost everybody above us at least skipped some stuff, and those 2 guilds did incredible skips. And there's guilds actually around us, below us, that didn't do shit, right? It was or that did skips and still did worse, which I was like really surprised by. I don't know if you've seen the Goosey skip.
Yeah. Oh, I have it here.
That's my favorite thing from the
This is
day.
great.
It wasn't even good. It wasn't even a good skip,
Yeah.
but it was fucking funny as shit. I loved this.
Yeah, I'll play it for the stream. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen the Goosey clip. Yeah, so basically they come off the lift and then they use the boots parachute cloak thing, and they get one here. Yeah, but I don't even know, like, what do they gain from doing this? Is the thing? Is it actually better than the other skip? Because I don't think it actually helps. Does it help them?
They get to Leotheris and pull Leotheris. Like they jump on these things. They go all the way down, and then there's like a little opening in the cave, and then they all jump with parachute cloak, and then they end up getting to Leotheris. So I was like, it doesn't save them any time because they don't do Hydros and anything like that. They also said you can get directly to Vaj. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can get to Vaj here because you can just jump over the shit with like a parachute cloak and like wait for your boot cooldown, right? And do it a second time. So it's it doesn't do anything, right? I think they end up like lower than us in time. Like it doesn't help you because you got to go back for Hydros, Lurker, all that shit.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's so funny. Like rocket boots, like legitimately rocket boots are my favorite thing in the game right now. And everybody in my raids, like they laugh their ass off when I like rocket boot into things. Because I discovered that if you make a macro for your rocket boots that are use rocket boots / equip whatever your other boots are, you use the rocket boot, swap to your other boots, and you still have the rocket boot effect. So the rocket boot effect is not tied to the rocket boots being equipped like old rocket boots were, right?
Yeah.
So you can immediately unequip them in Warsong Gulch, anything like that. So I, as a tank, like literally, like, you know, the some of the pulls with Paladin where you bubble pull, I like run into one pack, rocket boot into the other while bubbled, and just wait for everything to come in, right? Or like I rocket boot as I'm walking into that one pack, and then it equips my other boots, so I have plate boots on, and then I just run into 2 packs, right? And not have to like wear cloth boots for the pull. So I fucking love anything that's going to happen with these rocket boots. I think they're fucking incredible. They're so much fun. So highly recommend crafting them.
Like they're expensive, by the way, but they are very fun.
They're very fun. They're very fun. So yeah, I loved this. This was my favorite skip. There's a lot of skips that involve like invis and things like that, and I ended up watching a lot of the strategies. And I don't think anything really like blew my mind strategy wise. The skips I did know about, like a lot of the lurker skips and shit like that. Those weren't like crazy. There's some things that they do that Progress do in particular in TK that are really weird. Where like in TK, you know, the wings that are like lead to Void Reaver and that lead to like a Solarian. They have a hunter pull all of that each time they're going down those hallways, and everybody hides in a corner, waits for all the shit to pass as the hunter runs through, and then they all run through with like rocket boots and go to the end of the hallway where like Void Reaver is. Apparently, after you kill the boss in that wing, all the trash that's in that hallway despawns, so they don't have to do that on their way back.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, but it's really interesting because these are all specific skips for this race, because trash requirements will kill a lot of this, right?
Yeah.
Right. If they require anything in that hallway, then you got to kill the hallway, right?
But wait, can I just say I love that the entire race from Tetsu's side was him at his sister's house in a room filled with like
ribbons,
random ribbon medals,
like,
and then him hunched
what
over.
Happened? Yeah, why was he there? Why was he there? What happened?
So basically what happened was his neighbor somehow was doing internet work the day of the race, and they cut his line somehow or something. So he had to get his entire kit on that day, go to his sister's house, set up his entire stream setup there. So that's why the entire stream was with him in this weird room with medals and ribbons behind him, hunched over, every 2 minutes complaining about his back.
Part of me, I was sitting there and I was just like, I was like, damn, Tetsu got a lot of ribbons. I was like, this guy's got a win. He's got a winning background. Like,
Yeah.
are those all his progress ribbons? Like, God damn it, dude. I was confused. I didn't know, but he was probably really happy that they delayed by an hour and a half
Yeah.
the release. Which, by the way, I do know the reason why.
Oh,
which,
okay. Okay, sure. Why?
which is given to me. So I was told by a Blizzard employee that if this is for some reason is not true, I don't know. I didn't go look to confirm because this doesn't seem like information I can actually find somewhere. The reason that it was delayed an hour and a half was because the China servers were going to reset 1 hour after the release. So they delayed it by an hour and a half, and that's why right at 30 minutes, an hour and 30, it turned on because they were ready to turn it on. So apparently the China servers were resetting in 1 hour after. So it would have been SSCTK release, everybody goes in, and then China's resets in 1 hour so they could probably get like twice as much loot or have loot for the second instance and shit, right?
Okay.
Or be able to do it, right? Or, be like, oh, the instance is reset. So yeah, I was like, how is this unforeseen? Unforeseen issue. An unforeseen error, unforeseen shit. Like when they said unforeseen, I was like, come on. Like this is shit you should have known about. But if that's true, then I'm just like, come on, man. Global release. But I understand because they haven't really done a lot of global releases for this type of thing, so whatever. But yeah. Yep.
Can we talk about the lack of rogues, by the way, in in any of the comps? I think the only one I saw was Calamity had one rogue maybe, but yeah, it looks like everyone just went for the no rogue comps.
Yeah.
So sad,
it's
sad
actually,
days for the rogues.
It's actually interesting because I actually think I believe Progress's comp was actually exactly the same as our comp, except we ran a second feral druid instead of a prot warrior. And I think that's it. Did we run a Fury and arms? We might have run an additional arms or additional Fury. But yeah, basically 3 paladins, 2 mages. I think we had 2 warriors, but I think we might have run like 1 less hunter. Might have run 1 less hunter. I'm trying to remember, but it was basically like 2 augmentations, just a feral instead of a prot, and then there was 1 swap for like a Fury warrior that we did.
I was surprised they brought the boomkin. Actually, I was surprised to see the boomkin from Tetsu.
The hit just it matters so much. The hit makes things faster. The innervate is an additional innervate for your arcane mages, or I guess fire mages and shit when you're trying to run.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is the difference with that and the beef bar comp is the beef bar comp is literally just 5,000 warlocks.
It's 9. They did 9 warlocks. Yeah, 9 warlocks.
5,000 warlocks. But I mean, if you look at the actual damage though, because the race came down to one minute at the end, and then if you actually look at like the kill fast damage, you can see how much faster the beef bar guys just did all the trash. But then Progress had better single target because they were the team with the the hunters and such, and they didn't have 5,000 warlocks. So I feel like the problem was like beef bar came in and then they killed all the ads, but then they still had to wait what was it like? Is it 3 minutes or something on kill fast or whatever for the RP element after you kill the thingamabobs?
Mm-hmm.
And then Progress just out DPS them for single target because I believe beef bar was actually faster engaging. I think that was what happened. I was kind of roughly watching, but I believe beef bar
you just had to check kill time, right? You just had to check kill time. Yep. So they were a minute and 8 seconds slower killing Kael'thas.
Yeah, basically. So like the difference there was that they engaged Kael'thas before Progress. Actually, I believe they engaged Kael'thas before Progress. And
check deaths real quick on this one. Yeah, deaths. Just click deaths. They had a guy die right off the bat. Okay.
3 deaths.
And then a death of flames, right? Oof. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't make up a minute though. But yeah, I can see that.
And you can see they spread out their bloodlust as well. You can see their bloodlust here, and then versus if you look at Progress's one, it's literally just all here. it's all here. You can see they all do heroism and boom.
Yeah, because that's burn phase for getting through the MCs, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, we usually lust as soon as you get into phase 4, because phase 1 is like all the guys, phase 2 is the weapons, phase 3 is all the guys come back up, and that one's timed. So we just lust on phase 4 to get through the part where the MCs go out and try to get through that as fast as possible, because that's a lot of RNG, and if one hits the tank, then the reset of aggro is fucking huge. So we just want to burn that ASAP. But yeah, it's incredibly interesting. Like, I talked about, like, the physical damage heavy comp, and I was like, it's either going to go one way or the other. You're either going to go heavy physical or you're going to go heavy fucking magic damage, and it may just be heavy magic damage. Like, the warlocks, mages be the stronger classes, and it may just be too hard and too unreliable to pilot like warriors. But I mean, warriors still do a fuck ton of damage, but it just maybe is not as reliable, because you're never running out of mana here. And in fact, like, even though arcane mages have been pumping in a lot of our runs like really heavily, it's probably just too many resources, right? Whereas warlocks just help each other. Like, more ISB uptime is crazy. Like, more improved Shadow Bolt uptime. How like somebody was explaining it to me, where they were like, how like the arcane mage 2-piece is like 20% more arcane blast damage. It's like, just imagine warlocks all get that set bonus for Shadow Bolt just by having more warlocks in the raid. Like, you get to a point where your improved Shadow Bolt uptime gets to like 80-90%. Oh, it's actually crazy.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, it's funny looking at the damage breakdowns for these guys, because you look at the progress one and it's like, oh, you got a bunch of warlocks, you got a bunch of mages, you got some hunters in there, you even got like the warrior over here, and then you look at the beef bar one is just like warlocks and like the one arcane mage.
Yep. It's interesting too, because a lot of their damage is not from seed. If you mouse over and see like the breakdown, it's like 2 million seed and I think 7 million like Shadow Bolt off the top of my head.
Yeah, Shadow Bolt 60%.
Yeah. So most of their damage was from Shadow Bolt, but that might be because they had to seed less. Because like a lot of our warlocks had like a 9 million damage as well, but it was split 5-4. So it was like 5 million Shadow Bolt, 4 million Seed of Corruption. But here it's like so many seeds, they were probably splitting all the AoE damage between all of them. But it did make me look at it and go, they did a lot of Shadow Bolt damage. They skipped a lot of trash, and they like ended up not having a lot of seed damage just in general per person. So I was like really interested in that, because it just meant like either their packs were faster and they didn't get as many seeds off, or they just like obliterated that shit, like, or they obliterated that shit, or they skipped a lot of it. So it was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, the chat is talking about how like a lot of people were saying as well that Beefbar had the better setup, but Progress had more skips. I feel Progress did more skips. They had like a really clean run, but their DPS on the trash and such was nowhere near what the Beefbar were doing with 5,000 warlocks just annihilating every ad pack basically.
Yeah, it's really interesting because like I know like a lot of people had been talking about like private servers. It's even like PvP. Like people were talking about like how private server players are just going to like annihilate like the people coming from Classic and stuff like that, or the guilds coming from Classic. And Beefbar is like the only one that like really popped up, and Progress still beat them, right? So it's like all these Classic gamers coming in that take the game really seriously, versus like, you know, Lul XX just said like they had PTR and Beefbar had ran it for years, and still Progress beat them because I love this saying. It was like said to me the other day. It was like people came in thinking like private servers were just going to like shit stomp like all these Classic players, and there's still so many fucking Classic players at the top and even occupying the top spot. And it's because iron sharpens iron, right? The more you have in that pool of talent challenging each other, the better everybody's going to get. So these guys have already been in a place where they've been competing against each other, and TBC speedrunning was not really like a big thing. Whereas these speedrunners are already thinking in that mindset. So I'm excited to see, one, how the private server players start getting more speedrun oriented, and how the Classic players, you know, keep introducing like new tech. And that's like the thing for me that's always exciting, is when people come up with new things that make you like watch a speedrun and go, holy shit, like the Goosey skip. The Goosey skip. I was just like, damn. That thing made me go, what the fuck? Like, who did this? Who came up with this? Like, there was some guy who fucking there's some guy out there who was like fucking around with rocket boots and was like, you know what? I bet I could get up there, and just did it. And then they found a consistent way for an entire raid to do it.
Yeah,
Some people are crazy.
But yeah, people are talking about how Progress has a big team and such. But yeah, Progress, for people that don't know, a lot of this roster got switched around and such. Progress had a lot of roster shuffles and things leading up into TBC because there was obviously people that burnt out, people that
it's 25 man is still 42.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So they swapped a lot of people around, and there's a lot of complete class swaps. So people that don't recognize the names, Fienzi's the rogue class lead from Classic, Zubu. I'm pretty sure that's Zaratu on his Druid out as well. So there's a lot of people that literally just have completely different characters just for speedrunning. I know Zaratu still wants to main his rogue, it's just that it's not viable right now. So like they had complete roster swaps and they just pulled from the giant pool of players. Because I talked to some other people who used to play Raid 3 with me in Progress, and yeah, there's a lot of people that quit, a lot of people that shuffled around, but Progress's pool of players is just so deep. Even if some people quit and they have to shuffle people around, they have so many players at that caliber that they're able to, you know, fix it up. Especially it helps that they went down to 25 mans as well. So they even losing some players, they were able to make it up by swapping rosters around. But I'm curious to see what Progress pulls out for speed running, because this is their like world first. I'm curious if they swap things around, we start seeing more of the warlock thing happening. Or it's just 5,000 warlocks again.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what it's going to be, because you know, people were moving towards like arcane mages for speed kills and stuff, and then like warlocks for like potential like trash clears and everything. So like they definitely do. They definitely hit the most targets with their AoE consistently. So stacking them probably just makes trash pretty trivial. But it's always going to depend on what trash skips are allowed and what aren't, what isn't. Because like I definitely think that it will change a bit, if not drastically, when we get when people care about, you know, increasing speed and also trash requirements. Because I'm telling you straight up, what Progress did probably won't be allowed. Like what Beef Bar did, because it was like 40 minutes for SSCTK, 40 minutes for SSC, sorry. And it's like, yeah, that's like a lot of that is them just going through shit, like not killing almost anything in the fucking raid. And even though SSC was technically done in 40 minutes, like on release, it's probably going to be like closer to like an hour or more when people start speed running it and then trying to reduce that time. So I'm interested to see.
Here's a question. Do you think people will speed run both SSC and TK, or do you think they'll focus on SSC?
I think they'll focus on SSC, which was my hunch originally, because TK has like a lot of TK has like dialogue stuff involved, and people really just don't like that shit. And you could maybe do one with both, right?
Yeah, it was fun watching the race though. I had a lot of fun watching that last week. At least there was someone close to them, because man, if Beef Bar wasn't there, Progress was just so far ahead of everyone else that it wouldn't even have been a race at that point. It would have just been just casually strolling across the finish line. I was in the other Discord that we share with some of the Beef Bar people, looking at what they were saying, and it's funny because Progress didn't upload the log right away. They were saying, oh yeah, we got to upload our log quick. We got to get our screenshots in before Progress uploads the dialogues. Well, we're number one still. But yeah, I'm glad it was a 2-man race though. But I always, it feels like anytime there's something related to preparation, I feel like Progress just out prepares everyone. Every time we've seen something related to how much you prepare, Progress just sets the bar so high for preparation that usually they just tend to blow people out of the water when it comes to actually prepping for stuff. Like we saw with the TBC race for World First, with the absurd quest stacking into summoning team into everything else they did.
Yeah, they're really high effort, which is fantastic. High effort and high execution.
Yeah,
which like, you know, I thought was like, it's going to be interesting because the race will always get tighter from here. Because Progress have always been incredible innovators, but you look at like a guild like Noda is below even Rain, right? So it's like these are guilds that are more about refinement and instead of like the
Instead of
first
world
clear,
first, yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like two
Exactly.
different categories. There's the
Yeah.
world first and then the speed runs.
Yeah, like I don't think Rain's ever really cared about that stuff. So like us personally, we just care more about getting things faster and faster over time. We don't really care about the first clear. I don't know why. And also, well, actually, I do know why. It's because of there's too many RNG factors in a lot of people's minds of a release day thing, where it's just going to make you frustrated if you try, because it's like, do people DC? Are your servers stable? Are you on a faction, or like, are you going to be able to get into the instance, right? Like people were saying, like somebody died in TK, and they were like, he was like, do I release? And it's like, no, you don't know what the graveyard's like, right? Like if there's somebody out there at the graveyard camping fucking people, there's no way you're getting back into TK, right? So like if Horde wanted to, they could like stop that. So it's like there's a lot of RNG, even like if there were queues getting into the server, right? Which there weren't, but you don't know that. And then what day it comes out on is also something too, where we didn't even have our full roster. So it's like, if we were saying we were going to take this seriously, I think we're just setting ourselves up for failure, because people are just going to be frustrated that we can't actually go all out. So that, and I agree with that. I feel like it's setting yourself up for failure and trying to do, it's like taking a dad game in guild and go and like walking in and going, we're speed running today, right? And like they're like, wait, we like none of these guys have engineering and shit. It's like, oh, we'll speed run to the best of our ability, and like speed run without engineering, no sappers, none of that shit. And it's not like you're trying your hardest. So it's like, why would you try something when you can't go like 100% on it? And that I think is why they don't, like Noda, myself, etc.
Yeah.
We don't really like put a lot of weight into it because we can't put 100% into it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the bar has been set so high as well, as far as like what you have to prepare.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a personal thing too. That's not like, it's not like I don't give credit to Progress and Beef Bar. I think they did fucking incredible, and I would want to be like, I'm like, damn, I want to be a part of that. Like that's fucking looks cool, looks fun, looks awesome to plan, but it's just not what my guild does.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, the amount of infrastructure you need to have to do these things is a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
To do world first prep and all that sort of thing. They've been planning for a long time for a lot of these things. I was actually really curious to see what they pulled out, and in typical Progress fashion, that's what Progress has always tended to do well, is that they prepare well and then they tend to execute consistently at a certain level. They may not always be like the fastest or whatever, but they tend to on average be a bit more consistent than like a Salad Bakers that tends to be very hit or miss sometimes when Salad Bakers speedruns. But yeah, so that was the consistency of the guy. I love the end though, in that Tetsu was literally still muted, so you couldn't even you just saw him like celebrating like this, but you couldn't actually hear anything. He was in his scuffed room. Yeah, I did spend a lot of time when I joined his stream. I was like, why does he have ribbons behind it? Until people explained to me the entire thing there. But yeah, anything else to add on the world first stuff?
Nope, I'm just excited for this tier. So
yeah, I mean, it's fun to be back into raiding. Honestly, it's fun to be back into raiding because it felt like phase 1 wasn't raiding.
Yeah,
it was just kind of like, the thing is, it goes back to why Apes stopped raiding and such, is because phase 1 just felt like you were just kind of chilling with your guildies, kind of waiting. It felt like a waiting room because all the raid encounters for 25 mans were just like one boss, and that's it. Just one boss. And then Karazhan was just an extended group session. Because, yeah, at least the way most guilds did it is that they split Karazhan to get as many clears as they could and such. But yeah, guys. So I think that's it for us. Episode 26 of Prepared. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.